The Armenian literary tradition preserves a respectable number of manuscripts stored in the Matenadaran Institute named after Saint Mesrov Mashtod in Erevan, which has the creative collection, as well as in the monastery of the Saint James, the Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem, in the Mokhetarist congregations in Vienna, Venice, etc. In medieval Armenian literature, particularly in manuscripts, a distinctive genre can be singled out, which is often referred as Grarajk. It is the general name for short anonymous text. My report discusses the main characteristics and peculiarities of the above-mentioned genre. Grarajk, a short words of the Armenian medieval literature, can contain several lines or several pages. They were composed as prefaces to be placed at the beginning of letters, papers, proclamations, colophons, and other writings. Grarajk can be usually found in the separate groups. We have found the first mention of the Grarajk in the manuscript 1830 of Matenadaran of 14th century, where Grarajk is in the title. You can see the picture. You can see the picture one. The picture one, Grarajk is in the title. Grarajk. These writings usually have no mention about their authors, but mostly anonymous, but some Grarajk have authors. For example, a 13th century poet Hovannes Erzenkatsi wrote Grarajk, which can be found in manuscript number 652 of Matenadaran. Like all genres of Armenian medieval literature, Grarajk have their stable features and qualities. The first important feature of the Grarajk is the thematic quality. Grarajk are addressed to the persons playing different roles in the society. They are addressed to the Catholicos, supreme patriarch of the Armenian Church, to a priest, to a king, to a soldier, to a scribe, and others. You can see the names in the margin of the pages of manuscript. These are mainly words and expressions of homage and praise. You can see this Grarajk of scribe, and underlined lines. Many epithets comparisons can be found in Grarajk, which were used to make the text more aesthetic. The second important characteristic is the peculiarity of the usage of this genre. Grarajk is a kind of preamble for a certain text, letters, charters, edicts, etc. Authors of the Grarajk use conditional expressions, formulae, instead of the real names of the addresses. They contain indefinite expressions, so like so and so, I think. So you can see this Oborlini or whoever. This name Aistanun. This is the name Anun Vore, who is Vore, etc. You can see that underlined words in these pages. Ais Anun, Govasanutun Vartapetats, etc. Ais Anun Rabun Bari. Rabun is Archimandrite in Armenia. This is typical for the genre of Grarajk, but it is not a priority in defining the genre. There are such expressions as some colophons and poems too. You can see that colophon. This picture is a colophon example for colophon. You can see underlined words: ice chap, ice anun, ice anun, arashnoti, Archimandrite, or Archimandrite, etc. Sorry. There are poetical and prose Grarajk, or Grarajk can be both versified and be written in prose. The authors, having an ability to write poems, often compose them in poetic form, making to speech or more aesthetic in pictorial. so that the beginning of the letters would be more emotional, informative, and accurate. The most part of the poetical Grarajk are rhymed, and they have the same rhyme. Rhyme. You can see that Grarajk of Archimandrite and red letters, see red letters E, E, E. Some poetical or versified Grarajk have acrostic in Armenian Zayrakap, which mainly form the name of the authors of the certain Grarajk. For example, Grigor, you can see in the picture, Grigor Lem, or Itumaye A. Tumaye. Sorry, Tumaye. In this report, we would like also to discuss the relations Grarajk and Colophon, the main affinity of which is their common non-independent character of both genres. Grarajk is usually fixed at the beginning of the paper. It is assimilated into the latter, is deprived of having its own genre name, and consequently is considered to be merely a part of the same paper. At the same time, the Colophon preserves its genre name, though it never appears separately from the manuscript. Considering the aforementioned statements, we will conditionally designate these two genres as non-independent suspended for Grarajk and non-independent semi-suspended for Colophon, which had been formed and developed almost in the same period. Both had various formal, aesthetic, stylistic, and even partly thematic affinities. Possibly in the first Armenian colophons was written in the 5th century. In the 5th century. In the early Middle Ages, colophons of the manuscript were of a very small volume, containing only several lines. In the end, both the Grarajk and Colophon are letters. Still, the former's addressor is only the unknown reader, whereas the Grarajk applies to certain people, Catholicos, kings, bishops, priests, soldiers, scribes, etc. Like Grarajk, the colophons are poetical and prose, and the most part of the poetical or versified colophons are rhymed. You can see the red picture, red letters, and have acrostic in Armenian Zayraka, which is forming the name of the author of colophon, the name of the scribe, of the recipient, etc. You can see this colophon of scribe, and is the red letters with the red letters form the name of scribe, Simon. And you can see a colophon of recipient with red letters form the name of recipient, Bahaniye. The parts of glory, glorification of the colophon have the main features that those of the Grarajk genre. The parts of glory have been often copied dating from the colophons of other manuscripts, and they are formulaic scribes. In this part of the scribe expressed his gratitude God for having successfully completed the manuscript. This part is usually formulated with the following sentences and expressions. Park Amenasur Pierotutian, glory the most holy Trinity, Շնորհիվ Աստծո սկսա եւ ողորմությամբ նորին կատարեցավ. By the grace of God I have begun, and through his mercy was completed. Here are the examples of the glory parts of colophons of the manuscript number 1751, 80, 88, which are preserved in the Matenadaran. You can see that colophon, the glory of colophon. Famous Armenian codicologist of the 20th century, Artaxerxes Matevosyan, wrote about the glory paths. With a combination of glories, it is sometimes possible to reveal the kinship of the colophons and therefore the kinship of the manuscript. They include pictorial thought, parabolic speech, aesthetic comparisons, apocryphal interpretation, rarely used words, etc. According to some preliminary data, about 140 manuscripts, which are now kept in the Matenadaran, and were written for 13th to the 19th centuries contain Grarajk. Thus, during the 13th to the 19th centuries, a new genre was formed and developed, enriching the Armenian medieval literary genres with one more, a separate and non-independent suspended genre of Grarajk. As we saw, it has some interrelations with colophons, but at the same time, it has unique features which still require a more detailed study in the future, a comprehensive study in the future. Thank you for your attention.